Hey folks, please join our great community at rivianstories.com to get all the latest updates, pics, and videos from Rivian owners and fans. We also have t-shirts, hats, and gear guides for your next adventure. Hope to see you there. To kind of then, I guess, gently try and steer this towards R1S speculation, it's purely that at this point. I mean, we keep wanting to talk about R1S because we feel like it's just so imminent now for several weeks and months in a row. Really, the post that I keep an eye out is this one here from Coach Batch, where a handful of early, like OG pre-order holders posted when they put in their pre-order, their initial guide contact, their PBA, their 8-step, and their delivery time. So there's a handful here. And as you scroll down, you'll just notice that although everyone has a PBA except for me, no one has their 8-step. So in a way, it feels like we're all in the same boat. And we, obviously, if you're just joining us, first show on YouTube, first time listening to the podcast, the latest official news that we've had from Rivian has been that Rivian employees are taking delivery of the R1S through May, and that non-employee pre-order holders will start delivery at the end of May, going into June. Right now it's May 23rd. Obviously, with no one from our OG list kind of posting 8 steps, most of the time when you got those 8 steps, the shortest we've seen is a few days. But that's like with a lot of times like an orphan truck or something like that. I would just assume that May is looking difficult at this point, and it's going to be June at the earliest. But do we want to talk about R1S, or do we want to skip it?
I've got 2 comments there, Kyle. Mm-hmm. One is that I think the process has changed a little bit. Mm-hmm. Before, people weren't getting the 8 steps until the vehicle was at a local service center. Mm-hmm. Yep. Now I've been hearing that people are getting the 8 steps and starting the purchase process even when the vehicle is still in the factory and potentially before it's factory gated. So that alone tells me that Rivian is working their way closer to build to order in some cases, because you're getting assigned a vehicle that may not be completely built yet or hasn't passed QA at the factory, much less, pre-delivery inspection at a service center. Right. So I think that's an interesting point. And with regards to R1S, the last that we've heard is that customer deliveries will start late May and ramp into June and July. And what we don't know there is how to tie any sort of numbers to that. Yeah. Quantify that in any way. I mean, is it going to be 3 at the end of May and 20 in June and 40 in July? We just don't have any idea at all about those numbers.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a good idea of that, Skylar, until we start seeing those employees, if they're allowed to post when they take delivery of their R1S. We won't get a good idea on their scale of numbers until then.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, and even employee numbers may not tell us much about what actual customer delivery scale is going to look like.
True. And something else to consider, and Kyle, feel free to cut this out because I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but there were a lot of employees that had the R1S pre-ordered, and then once they saw the T for the first time, they jumped ship. So there's a good, I don't say good amount, there's a number of employees that I know firsthand that started at the S and ended with the T because they had never had a truck before and they wanted it.
Yep.
Another reason for that, Jimmy, is that only the truck was eligible for their early adopter program stipend, where Rivian helps, contribute a certain amount monthly towards the purchase of the vehicle for those employees, providing feedback and helping make the vehicles better.
Yeah, true.
Man, the only thing I feel like I'm adding, and I'm sitting here searching for the right words, and I think I'd put it like this. I just can't ever remember a time of extended silence that followed with like a good surprise. you know? So the extended kind of lull with R1S, keep getting towards these dates without much news at all, just has me preparing for a little bit longer wait than even I've done so far, being a March-April window. March gone, April gone, May is gone, and I'm just planning on kind of ticking off June as well. Because like Skylar said, that ramp up, I don't know, the only thing that we might have going for us is that it is June, and that's the last month of a quarter to where there's this big delivery push. But of course, they could just make that push with all the trucks. I do think that if they can push out some R1Ss, that it's cool to say on the next quarterly call, but it's not exactly what investors are looking for. I mean, investors are just looking for overall ramp and production and keep steering towards that 25,000 between all three vehicles, the van being one of them.
I really think they're looking for both, though, Kyle.
Okay.
And the reason being is I do think there is a greater market opportunity for the R1S than there is for the T even. Yeah. And showing progress and showing that, vehicle number 2 out of 3 is making progress as well, I feel like is important to the overall market perception of Rivian, because one of the things that everyone has acknowledged is really, really hard. It's hard to launch one vehicle. Rivian's doing 3. And so showing the ability to do vehicles 2 and 3 successfully and ramp those as well, I feel like would provide a lot of confidence to the market.
Yep. Yeah, so as a little peek into our RS backers chat, which has honestly become the go-to place for me, it's just kind of fun. I mean, this is one long chat with no subject, and it just goes on every day, all day, and all night from now until eternity. But it's funny that we're, trying to count our days, 1,274 days, if I'm counting right. I mean, you do start losing track. But to those wondering, there's a great Google tool. You can say how many days has it been since November 29th, 2018, and it'll just tell you right there. All right, John, just use that tool. Google knows. All right, folks, that's it for this one. Again, catch the entire episode on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite podcast app. Until the next video, we'll be hanging out at rivianstories.com, so we hope to see you there.